Hi, and welcome to RevOps Unboxed, the podcast that dives into the world of revenue operations, brought to you by me, Sandy Robinson, in partnership with Revenue Operations Alliance. On this episode of RevOps Unboxed, I speak with Tina Wung, VP of Growth Marketing at Nisum. Today, we will discuss the power in aligning marketing and sales on singular objectives to achieve growth. Additionally, she'll provide some insights on her training where she really gets each team member to know the business. Let's get started.
Excited to be here. This is an episode of RevOps Unboxed. We are live here at the Alliance, number of conferences going on, so really excited to talk to Tina Wung today, Vice President of Growth, Marketing, and Revenue at Nisum. So Tina, welcome. Really appreciate taking your time today to talk to me. Tell me a little bit about your role and what you do.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Tina Wung. Like you said, I lead growth marketing and revenue at Nisum Technologies. We are a technology consulting partner that specializes in custom software development, focusing on digital commerce. So any type of commerce, whether it's an exchange of a product, a purchase, data, information, experiences, that's what Nisum focuses on. And so my role, I came into in kind of a unique way. I am a classic brand marketer. I grew up in the consumer packaged goods world, and so really my focus was on brand management and brand marketing. And being in Silicon Valley, in the Bay Area, I mean, you just can't escape technology and innovation. Nope. Yeah. And so with that, I came into Silicon Valley at a really, really exciting time where a lot of the corporations were really doubling down on focusing on emerging technology and figuring out how to use that emerging technology for digital innovation. And so what that meant for me as a marketer is that a lot of the engineering-led and product-led teams were really, really excited about bringing marketing as the strategic pillar for their leadership. And so that's how I got into technology marketing, technology consulting, and then more recently, I have assumed the role of a revenue leader.
Wow, that's quite a journey. So when you were starting out in your career, did you think this is where you would be? Like what kind of path led you there?
Yeah, so it was really interesting because early on in my career, I was all about the blue chip CPG companies. So, the Krafts of the world, the Anheuser-Busch's of the world, Unilever's, P&G's, and, growing up as a marketer, that's kind of the gold standard of the industry that you want to, get trained in. And I took this really, really exciting role at Anheuser-Busch InBev, the largest beer manufacturer in the world, out here in Palo Alto, California, which is, the heartbeat of Silicon Valley. And that role was so fascinating because it brought marketing, it was an intersection of marketing, digital, and emerging technology. And so it was all about how to use emerging technology to extend your marketing reach to influence your customers.
Wow. So that gives you a really strong marketing background, a really strong tech background.
Exactly.
And then now jumping into running a revenue org, right, in sales. And how's that transition been? It sounds like, now you have a whole sales team, customer success, and everything like that. I mean, kind of jumping in there with that background, how's that been going?
Yeah. Well, it's definitely a new world for me. And my role is really focused on obviously the marketing side, and then as well as new business development. So the account growth side is under somebody else. And I would say that, it is probably the new wave of where marketing sits within within tech, if you will. And what I really mean by that is that For so long, a lot of these technology companies have been very much product-led and engineering-led and development-led. And for a long time, that really worked. And now the market is so saturated that they're really realizing that they have to build brand equity and brand awareness, and they have to stand for values that resonate with their customer. And also, it's a different beast when you compare it to CPG marketing, because a lot of your constituents are engineers, they're software developers, they're from onshore, nearshore, offshore. And so it's a different mindset to really get them to rally around marketing and revenue generating pathways and visions.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just about checking boxes, right? It's really about generating revenue. And so I like what you said about tying that together with business development. And that kind of brings me into our main topic, is I think every company struggles with tying together the sales engine, the marketing engine, the revenue engine, and having everything be kind of seamless. Like in my utopia, it all works perfectly. But the reality is there's, this person is kind of tossing it over here, and I have my MQLs, and then you get to figure out your SQOs. Good luck.
Exactly.
So I think this is a common problem, and particularly, from a RevOps perspective, having that strategic leadership in that you're kind of driving there. I'd just be interested to just get your perspective on how you approach that and aligning sales marketing.
Yeah, totally. So one of the things that I observed in my roles when I came here to Silicon Valley, and when I started to look at the tech companies' infrastructures and how they were set up, is that marketing and sales were oftentimes segregated business units that unfortunately, worked at odds with each other, right? Like, if there's a problem with generating revenue or hitting your quotas or bringing in new clients, oftentimes sales looks at marketing and is like, well, you're not building enough pipeline. And then marketing is looking at sales and saying, well, you're not doing anything with the pipeline that I'm giving you, right? And then also your KPIs are different, so that's screwed up. And so it's oftentimes like very much walled gardens between the different organizations or the different BUs within the organizations. And so thankfully, my leadership, they were really smart, because we had a sales leadership vacuum at our company, and they said, Tina, why don't you take over revenue, right? And I actually think that is probably one of the most genius things that leaders can do, because then you don't have two different BUs, kind of pointing fingers at each other. What you do is you have a single BU, and the only metric is generating revenue, right? Is bringing in new business. It's hitting your quotas. And so I don't know if we're going to get into this a little bit, but then I can talk a little bit more about like how, operationally, I brought those units together to be able to operate as one.
For sure, yeah, I would love to know, because I think understanding where's the magic, because it's something that I think we all strive to do, whether it's connecting a lead process in Salesforce to an opportunity, or trade shows is classic, right? So marketing puts out trade shows and lead lists and all these things, and then sales needs to follow up with it. But even when the organizations are under one umbrella, I've personally seen it, and I usually get in the thick of it because I'm in RevOps, right? So I'm dealing with all the systems and everybody connecting.
Everybody pointing at you.
Everybody process. So I'll sometimes, get in the middle and say, okay, guys, we need to align, and here's who's doing what.
Right.
But it's a lot easier said than done. So how are you approaching this? Obviously it helps that you come from a marketing background and all of this is under one umbrella, but even having that, how are you dealing with this? How is this kind of kumbaya session happening at your company?
Well, there's a couple things. The first one is myself and also some of my more senior team members, we have backgrounds in both marketing and sales. And
Okay.
so I think that is really helpful because we can see the challenges that both sides of the, or both BUs sort of face. And so we're able to bridge that gap in recognizing those challenges and figuring out a process in which we can, close those gaps and overcome those challenges. Another thing that was really good is that it was sort of a blessing in disguise in that we have a really lean team, and the marketing team is a little bit more developed than the sales team, which was actually great because what it forced me to do was to assign more what would traditionally be pre-sales or BDR, SDR type of responsibilities to my marketing team.
Okay.
And so what I mean by that is, obviously marketing, a lot of their responsibilities is to generate content, right? Push out PR, manage your social channels, website, throw events, et cetera, and to your point, generate lead lists, right?
Right.
And in many organizations, it just stops there,
Right.
And that's where you get the throwing things over the wall, right?
Right.
And so what I did was I challenged my marketing team to go further down the funnel and say, hey, after you put on this event or after we put out this piece of content, let's look to see who's engaged and let's give them a call. Let's kind of act as that customer service touch point and then see if we can do more of the nurturing upstream with the people who are most close to the content that we're putting out, and then do a little bit of that pre-sales activity to take the burden off of our direct sales team.
Okay.
Who oftentimes are very overburdened with the amount of follow-up and the nurturing, and then they also have to close the deals,
right?
And so nurturing that top or middle of the funnel is probably a little bit lower priority for them.
So, but how did they feel about that? Like, did this create any, I know salespeople, they don't always want to do it, but then when you start kind of encroaching on their turf, like how did that all kind of go?
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that it's a bit of a blessing that my sales organization is a little bit more on the leaner side. And so I definitely think that they like the fact, that they were getting a little bit more of the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel help and the pre-sales help in terms of just qualifying, making sure that we were only pushing the more higher priority leads or higher engaged leads over to them. And I even challenged my marketing team to schedule the meetings for our sales team. Because then it takes administrative workload off of the sales team. And so then that opens up their bandwidth to be able to focus on actually nurturing the deal.
Yeah, no, that's great. So are you using a process in system? Is it all connected? So
yeah, definitely.
Assume you're using some sort of CRM.
Yeah, getting the tech stack up and running and operationalized, and also knowing exactly what tools to use to complement each other was, one of my first priorities. And so we have a really nice system going. We use HubSpot and Salesforce as our primary tools, and they talk to each other. And then we have some other databases and tools that augment that as well.
So are you using HubSpot for the marketing and then Salesforce for the sales and then kind of plugging into that? Okay, that's interesting. I've seen companies do that.
Yes,
so it's sometimes challenging. So how does that, it works well? You've got it all pretty dialed in?
Well, one of those is a monster that I will.
We don't have to go there.
I won't name
We don't have to go there. The one monster, I got you. Yeah.
But no, I definitely think that the tools have come a long way in terms of like syncing with each other and doing automation. So it's working pretty well.
That's great. That's great. And it's great that you've created that singular journey, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about the customer. So a lot of times we forget that in these roles, and everybody's worried about, well, I have to hit my numbers. And I like what you said about kind of centralizing. We just have this revenue number. Like that's our number,
that's our
right?
number. Yeah.
We're not worried about how many boxes we're checking. We're worried about the results.
Right.
And so it's a team effort on the results. So I think that's
what
huge.
I've drilled into, not not only the marketing team, but if you think of any company that has support functions, and it could be marketing, it could be, people and culture, it could be finance, it could be, any number of those more non-delivery functions, is I challenge them. I say, you have to know what our company does. You have to know what our company sells. You have to get in and deep into that knowledge, because if you don't, then how could you do your job, as well as you could be, right? So that is definitely one thing that I have drilled over and over and over into my team's heads, and I've, challenged them with like learning assignments, just, talking about the various solutions and services that our company provides, and having them almost like act as salespeople to present internally, so that they they really know our buyer, they know the problems that they have, they know how we're solving them, and it's totally changed the game.
That's great. I mean, that's awesome. So those folks, are they also doing the administration of the process, or do you have like a marketing ops and a sales op? Like, do you have those team members, or is everybody kind of jumping in and has their piece of it?
Yeah. So I would say that I've aligned them to certain parts of the funnel. I think is the best way to
That's awesome.
to talk about it. Yeah, because you have some people who they mainly affect the top of the funnel. You have some people who mainly affect the middle. And so their KPIs are generally like, hey, did you convert, down the funnel? Because if everybody is focused on converting down the funnel, then ultimately you're hopefully going to get some deals through the door. Yeah,
no, for sure. Yeah. So do you have maybe a story that you can share that is kind of related to this marketing and sales handoff, or something interesting you think the listeners would enjoy? Could be a challenge, could be something fun, a success.
Yeah, going back to what I talked about, challenging all of my team members to get to know much more intimately about our company's services and products, I challenge all of them with different assignments, okay? And you have to understand that on my teams, there's people with differing technical skill sets, meaning like there are people who specialize in software development or design or PR, and social media, things like that. And so I assigned them challenges where they had to interview a number of our delivery folks on specific client work that we have done, and I had them write a presentation as though they were presenting to a new prospect.
Wow.
Yeah, and obviously, they presented it internally, and you can understand how that might be a huge skills gap for somebody who, is like a junior software developer, right? And they have to like put together this, entire presentation and present as though he or she is selling Nisum. And so that I've done a number of those team challenges, and each time you can see that the team members, the light bulb just goes on in their heads. And then when one light bulb goes on, another one goes on, and then you have your team members starting to connect the dots and see the bigger picture. And that is just so rewarding.
Oh, that's such a great idea too, because people really learn by doing and getting their hands in and then teaching everybody.
Exactly.
And that's pretty awesome.
And
I love it.
And you think about all the other skill sets they learn, right?
Yeah.
They think they learn, great presentation, communication skills. They learn how to sell our value proposition. They learn how to, describe our company better and our solutions. And so win-win all around.
That's given me some great ideas, because I think, from a revenue operations perspective, just talking about this with somebody else, you can jump into Gong or Chorus and listen to calls all day long, but until you really get your hands in it or participate in an event. But I love this idea of like creating your own presentation and doing your research and having to present it. So what a great idea. Yeah, it's a safe space. And for fun, a challenge, right? They're not being.
They might not think it's so much for fun.
Well, not at first. It's like when you have to take public speaking in college for the first time, right?
Exactly.
You're mortified until you actually get out there and do it.
Yeah.
So, well, great. This has been an awesome conversation. I'm glad you were able to stop by. If you have maybe a tip or some words to live by or something, some key points you want to leave with the audience to share, the way you operate would be great.
Well, I know that this is a tough environment for a lot of us, right? We're in the recession. We are going into a recession. A lot of our clients or prospects are pulling back, cutting their budgets, and it can be disheartening, right? It can be disheartening from a revenue ops BU standpoint, from a marketing standpoint. And so I would just say, and this is how I've lived my life personally, is attitude is everything. Is, we can't get beaten down. We have to keep on trying new things. We have to build up our own skill sets. We need to learn more about our prospects and their problems and how we can solve them. We need to test out different messaging, different communication channels, different incentives. So I would say attitude is everything.
I love it. Attitude is everything. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been another episode of RevOps Unboxed. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to RevOps Unboxed. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode.